Today is 9/11, and today America remembers the deadliest terrorist attack in our history. We also are reminded that the threat from Islamic terrorism is far from over.
Al-Qaeda launched the attack on 9/11, and today another group of terrorists, ISIS, is also promising to strike the United States. George Thomas has the story.
14 years on, Al-Qaeda and its affiliates are still plotting death against the enemies of Islam.
Al-Qaeda has actually expanded its reach since 9/11 and it is present in more countries today than it was on 9/11 when we were attacked.
And unlike in 2001, experts say the terror threat today is more pervasive, as terrorists, often operating in small cells or as lone wolves like the Boston bombers, are driven to murder and mayhem in the name of Islam. CBN News terrorism analyst Eric Stakelbeck says ISIS, unlike any other terror group, has mastered the call to jihad.
ISIS, among the younger generation of jihadis, George, especially here in the West, ISIS is the cool thing. They're so active on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. They're everywhere. ISIS is a phenomenon.
And that phenomenon continues to gobble up vast swaths of territory in the Middle East, leaving behind a reign of terror and tears.
We fled from ISIS and the Syrian regime. And even before yesterday, ISIS has entered our village, so we had to flee.
Formed in 2013, ISIS has quickly become a virulent, wealthy, transnational terror organization that is constantly recruiting. And now a U.S. official has told the BBC they're also using chemical weapons in Iraq and Syria.
And they have tentacles everywhere. People don't know that they're not just in Iraq and Syria, where they already control the territory the size of Great Britain, but because they claim to be the only legitimate government among Muslims all around the world, the Caliphate, they also have territory in Libya, and they have gotten the allegiance of other jihad groups in Nigeria, the Philippines, Yemen, all over the world.
And remember when President Obama referred to ISIS as the JV team? Well, revelations this week by the Daily Beast that senior intelligence officials were altering reports on ISIS to fit the president's assertion that the U.S. was winning the war against them and other terrorists in Syria and Iraq.
He wants to give the portrayal that ISIS is on the run, that limited U.S. airstrikes, by the way, are having a great effect on ISIS. But meanwhile, George, the facts on the ground say otherwise.
But ISIS and Al-Qaeda remain deeply opposed to each other, with the head of Al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri, just this week releasing a tape blasting ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. But the two groups remain committed to their mission against their enemies. And not to be outdone by ISIS, Al-Qaeda is out with their latest magazine, issued days before today's anniversary. In it, the group calls for more lone wolf attacks and assassination operations against some of America's richest men, including Bill Gates, the Koch brothers, and Warren Buffett. As America remembers the horrific scenes of that day 14 years ago, authorities are still concerned about both another major terror attack as well as those lone wolf operations, and the possibility that such attacks, like the ones in Paris this year and elsewhere, could become more and more common. And like 9/11, they would be carried out in the name of Islam. George Thomas, CBN News.
Well, just a reminder today that we need to be vigilant, but it's also a reminder that we're in a war of ideas. How has ISIS been so successful? It's because of their idea that they are the caliphate, they are the legitimate government of all Muslims throughout the world. And how do you combat that? Well, you have to combat it in the same way. You have to combat it as a war of ideas, that your ideas about God are wrong. If you think you blow yourself up in a marketplace, you're going to heaven, you're wrong. If you think you carry out these horrible attacks and murder other people, you're not going to heaven. And that's the place where we need to be. That's the place where the church needs to be. And now more than ever, we need to preach the gospel.